When we think about rising costs, let's talk about some of the key challenges we see. We often find that organizational structures and the associated operating model grows and organically develops over time. And this happens without challenge and to no overall design or blueprint. As a result, the impact is deep and far-reaching. We often see an unnecessarily high resource and cost base and duplication of activity with handoffs based on arbitrary splits of key processes or activities. From a process viewpoint, in addition to those operating model challenges, we find that processes themselves organically evolve over time too. This manifests as process inefficiencies thanks to workarounds, a lack of one best way, long average handling times, and again, waste through duplication, handoffs, and manual effort that often causes error. Core systems hold teams back, and we find them using non-core systems like Excel, for example, for core activity, which impacts process flow and inherently increases risk. But there's no point in focusing all our efforts on the process itself if the inputs themselves represent failure demand. Without doubt, one of the biggest challenges we see in FS businesses are oversensitive triggers and the adoption of a catch-all, check-all culture, rather than one that focuses skilled human effort in the areas where they could and should add the most value for the business and customers. These issues exist in most businesses. It's a vicious cycle where one impacts the other and so on, until cost reaches such a point where what was previously unimaginable is now real and unmanageable. But there are other considerations too. These days, constant change is the new normal. We've entered this period of unrelenting change where transformation is a way of working and there is no base camp or finish line. And whilst this rate of change is impressive, there are downsides which we find most businesses suffer. And there are three key questions that we believe determine the success rate of any change. Are you doing the right things? By prioritizing the right changes and doing them well, can you achieve more by doing less? Are you doing things right through a one best way approach, combining best practice with your culture and values, balancing agility with appropriate governance? And finally, do you have the right backing? The old saying rings true. Effectiveness equals quality times acceptance. Are you involving people from the outset? Do you understand the impacts? And are you clear on what readiness looks like from both a technical and people perspective? Finally, with cost savings as a driver for change, we've talked about a few things that we could focus on, like reducing demand and therefore what needs to be worked in the first place. And for that has to be worked, we could improve the efficiency of the process. But there is a third point where we could look to improve the performance of your people working those processes. We often find that businesses struggle to identify and reward strong performance or help colleagues who are not performing. And so we ask, do you have access to the right quality and productivity insights to empower you to take action? Now, we appreciate that this has cultural implications, so it's about getting it right for the individual business. It can have a huge positive impact, but it's not a one-size-fits-all.